Hello, everyone. Tonight we are drifting through time deep into a swamp so ancient that the trees don't even bother remembering when they first sprouted. The air is thick, heavy, buzzing softly with the hum of unseen insects that have ruled these waters since before mammals even considered leaving the shadows. You shuffle along the edge of a sluggish, murky river boots, sinking slightly into the soft earth. Though, let's be honest, you probably won't survive this little excursion. One wrong step and well, the swamp has plenty of room for new bones. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And drop a comment with your location and what time it is where you are right now. Now turn off the lights. Maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise and let's get started tonight. A thin mist clings to the water's surface as dawn paints the swamp in streaks of pink and gold, though the sun barely seems to care about this place. The trees lean over the water like ancient nosy neighbors, their roots tangled, like the claws of something that tried and failed to escape centuries ago. And then you hear it, a slow, deliberate ripple. The kind that tells you something big, very big, is on the move. You freeze because that's what your ancestors would have done, and maybe it worked out for some of them. From the gloom emerges a shape. The kind of shape that makes your stomach clench and your brain start negotiating with the universe. It's a crocodile. Not the kind you see in wildlife documentaries, no. This beast looks like a throwback, a relic of the Mesozoic skin, armored in ridges and scars, eyes like molten gold set in a face built purely for hunger. It is massive, longer than a pickup truck, heavier than a small car. You can almost hear the quiet, ancient groan of its joints as it hauls itself from the water onto a muddy bank, jaws parting slightly as if tasting the morning air. Historians still debate whether these gigantic crocodilians like Deinosuchus or Purosaurus were truly solitary or if they tolerated the company of their own kind in these labyrinthine wetlands. But this one clearly believes it owns this stretch of swamp. And who's going to argue? Not the fish, that's for sure. They fled at the first sign of those ripples. Even the frogs fall silent, as if afraid their croaks will draw unwanted attention. You watch as the great reptile settles onto a patch of soft earth, eyes half-lidded, body still except for the slow rise and fall of its flanks. The swamp breathes with it in a way. Dragonflies skim the surface, their wings flashing briefly in the pale sun. And somewhere a bird lets out a sharp, startled cry, probably realizing it's landed in the wrong neighborhood. You shift your weight carefully, trying not to rustle the reeds, though the croc doesn't seem to care. Or maybe it does. Maybe that lazy stillness is just part of the act, a way to lure the foolish or the curious. One authoritative historical fact for you here, Croc. Codaliforms have been around for over 200 million years, surviving multiple mass extinctions, including the one that took out their dinosaur cousins. Imagine that. This creature's ancestors saw the rise and fall of entire eras, and they did it by sticking to what worked: ambush, patience, and absolutely no concern for your travel plans. And as you stand there, heart pounding softly in your ears, it hits you: this swamp, this beast, this moment. It's like stepping into a forgotten page of history. The kind of place where time folds in on itself, where you half expect to see a sauropod's neck arch above the trees or a pterosaur skim the canopy. Okay, maybe not the pterosaur, but you get the vibe. Speaking of strange creatures, here's a fun oddity: the hoatzin, a modern bird that smells like cow manure. No joke, is thought to be one of the most primitive birds alive today. Its chicks even have little claws on their wings to help them climb. So in case you were wondering, weird survivors aren't limited to the reptile team. You realize that even the air here seems to belong to the crocodile. Heavy, humid, thick with the scent of decay and rich, loamy earth. And beneath that, something sharper, a hint of ancient musk that clings to the great predator like a signature. Its eyes flick open fully for a moment, fixing on something you can't see. Or maybe it's looking at you. You feel small. You feel like breakfast. You feel like the swamp could swallow you whole and no one would ever know. Then, just as your legs are starting to remind you that they're not statues, there's another sound, a ripple, but different. Slower, heavier, as if the water itself is making room. The crocodile's head lifts a fraction, those golden eyes narrowing ever so slightly. You follow its gaze, and there, half lost in the morning mist, is a dark shape gliding toward the bank. And that's where we'll pause. You might want to check that your boots aren't stuck in the mud because what's coming? Well, it's not what the crocodile expected. And probably not what you expected either. The swamp seems to hold its breath as the shape slides closer. The water barely ripples, disturbed only by the slow, deliberate movement of this new arrival. You squint through the haze, trying to make sense of what you're seeing. It isn't another crocodile. No, the shape is wrong, broader, lower, like someone dropped a boulder into the swamp and it decided to go for a swim. And that's when you see the edge of a shell glinting under the weak sun, slick with water and draped in green algae that makes it look more like part of the swamp than a living thing. It's a turtle, but not the kind you'd see munching lettuce in a backyard pond. This creature is immense, its carapace alone wider than a grown man is tall. The surface patterned with deep grooves and ridges that seem to map the story of centuries. The head that emerges from beneath this living fortress is blunt and powerful, with jaws that could probably snap a tree branch clean in two. Its eyes are dark, unreadable, as ancient as the swamp itself. You half expect it to start lecturing you about the Ice Age. Historians still debate whether these giant prehistoric turtles, creatures like stupendemes, were strictly herbivores, or if they occasionally snacked on whatever they could crush in those beak-like jaws. The general consensus leans toward plant eater, but then again, who's going to argue with a reptile the size of a compact car? The crocodile watches utterly still. You can almost sense the calculation behind those molten gold eyes. The turtle, for its part, seems utterly unimpressed. It glides forward at its own pace as if the presence of the swamp's top predator is nothing more than a mild inconvenience. You can't help but feel a bit of secondhand embarrassment for the crocodile. I mean, imagine owning a swamp and having someone casually drift into your territory like they're on a lazy Sunday paddle. A mosquito lands on your arm and you slap it without thinking, earning a small smear of blood for your trouble. Here's a weird side note for you. The mosquitoes that plague us today are descendants of insects that coexisted with dinosaurs. Some scientists have even found ancient mosquitoes preserved in amber blood meals and all. No, they didn't clone a T. Rex historians still debate if any usable DNA could actually survive that long despite what Hollywood suggests. The turtle moves closer until it's just a few yards from the crocodile. It lifts its head slightly, as if sizing up the great predator sprawled on the bank. The crocodile shifts its weight almost imperceptibly, the tip of its tail twitching in the mud. For a moment, nothing happens. The swamp seems frozen in that tense pause before a storm, where even the breeze dares not stir the reeds. And then the turtle does the unthinkable. It pauses right there in front of the crocodile and begins to settle itself among the roots at the water's edge. It's as if the giant reptile simply doesn't exist, or if it does, it isn't worth worrying about. The confidence of this shelled titan is almost comical. If it could whistle, you get the feeling it would be doing so now, off-key and carefree. The crocodile blinks slowly, as if trying to process this unexpected intrusion. You can almost hear its thoughts. What is this thing? Why is it here? Why isn't it running for a predator that relies on fear, on the sudden lunge, and the quick kill? This must feel like an insult of the highest order. You take a cautious step back, heart pounding, because you know something's about to happen. When two giants cross paths in the wild, it's rarely just a polite nod and a wave. The air thickens with anticipation, the kind that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Somewhere nearby, a heron flaps noisily into the sky, unwilling to stick around for what's coming. Smart bird. The turtle rests now, its massive shell blending seamlessly with the muddy bank, like a piece of the landscape come to life. It's easy to see how creatures like this could have survived for so long. When you look like a walking boulder, most predators think twice before taking a bite. But the crocodile, well, it isn't most predators. You can almost see its hunger warring with its caution, its ancient instincts urging it to strike while its modern brain runs through the risks. Fun fact before we go any further. In some parts of the world, giant turtles have been symbols of the earth itself, solid, enduring, unshakable. In Hindu mythology, the world is said to rest on the back of a great turtle, and looking at this creature now, you can almost believe it. The swamp holds its breath again. The crocodile tenses the muscles along its flanks, rippling beneath the armor of its skin. The turtle remains still, perhaps trusting its shell, perhaps simply indifferent. And you, well, you're just trying to figure out how far you can run before either of these titans decides to notice you. The tension in the air is thick enough to chew. You're standing there, feet sinking just a little deeper into the mud with every heartbeat, watching two of the swamp's most formidable creatures eye each other like rival kings at the edge of their empires. The crocodile's golden eyes, narrow to slits, focused entirely on this unexpected challenger. The turtle's dark gaze, by contrast, seems almost bored, as if it has seen predators come and go and long since stopped keeping score. The crocodile shifts the great ridged mass of its body, gliding almost imperceptibly closer to the waterline. Its nostrils flare, tasting the air for whatever secrets the swamp might whisper about this intruder. You can see the slow, deliberate opening of its jaws, revealing a nightmare of teeth, each one honed by eons of evolution for one simple purpose: to grab, to crush, to end. Historians still debate whether these massive prehistoric crocodiles would have regularly preyed on armored animals like turtles. Some fossils suggest tooth marks on shells, but it's unclear if those were from desperate attacks or opportunistic scavenging. What we do know is that this crocodile looks very much like it's considering the former. Meanwhile, the turtle hasn't moved an inch. Well, unless you count the slight ripple of water as it shifts its bulk more comfortably into the mud like someone settling in for a long afternoon nap. It's hard not to admire that kind of confidence, or maybe it's arrogance, or maybe it just doesn't care. The swamp has seen creatures come and go after all, and so has the turtle. A mosquito whines near your ear, and you swipe at it automatically, earning nothing but a smear of swamp muck on your hand. You try to focus on the drama unfolding before you, but part of your brain wonders why prehistoric mosquitoes had to be so much bigger. Fossilized specimens have been found that suggest some were nearly twice the size of the ones we swat today. As if the swamp wasn't bad enough already. The crocodile creeps forward another inch and another. The movement is glacial, almost imperceptible unless you're watching closely. Which you are, because the alternative is looking away and missing whatever happens next. The turtle finally lifts its head a little higher, its beak-like mouth snapping once at a curious fish that wandered too close. The sound, a sharp crack, echoes louder than you'd expect, and for a heartbeat, you think the crocodile might take it as a challenge. The two giants are mere feet apart now, close enough that you can see the scars crisscrossing the crocodile's snout, close enough to see the algae and mud caked in the grooves of the turtle's shell. Close enough that if this were a movie, the dramatic music would be reaching its crescendo right about now. But here in the swamp, the only soundtrack is the steady drone of insects and the occasional splash of something small and wise enough to be leaving. You can't help but wonder what's going through their ancient minds. Does the crocodile see an easy meal or an armored headache? Does the turtle recognize danger or merely tolerate the crocodile's posturing, like one might tolerate a noisy neighbor? Whatever the answer, you sense that neither is willing to back down just yet. There's a sudden flurry of movement as a flock of birds, maybe egrets, maybe herons, bursts from the trees in a noisy, chaotic cloud. You flinch, your heart leaping into your throat, but neither reptile so much as blinks. Their focus is absolute. Their world has narrowed to each other and the patch of swamp they both now claim. A fun, odd fact to lighten the mood. Did you know that turtles can breathe through their butts? Well, sort of. Certain species have cloacal bursae that allow them to absorb oxygen directly from water when submerged. Imagine having that in your resume. You try not to giggle because somehow it feels disrespectful in the face of such a serious standoff. The crocodile's tail twitches again, a ripple of muscle and potential energy. It's ready to pounce. You can feel it. The swamp can feel it. Even the turtle, for all its apparent indifference, seems to brace slightly its limbs, tucking just a little tighter against its shell. The moment stretches on longer than is comfortable until it feels like the entire swamp is holding its breath. And you're just hoping neither of them decides that a gawking human would make for a good snack or a convenient target to vent some aggression. The thought of slipping quietly into the undergrowth crosses your mind, but you're rooted to the spot, caught between fascination and sheer primal fear. The crocodile edges closer still until its snout is nearly touching the turtle's shell. It opens its jaws wider as if testing the weight of the air between them. The turtle's head withdraws slightly, not all the way, just enough to signal that it knows what's coming and it's ready. Or at least as ready as a turtle can be when faced with a predator that's been perfecting the art of destruction for over 200 million years. The tension breaks at last, not with violence, not yet, but with a deep, low growl from the crocodile, so soft you might have missed it if you weren't standing right here. It's a sound of warning, of frustration, of hunger, restrained by the smallest thread of caution. And in that sound you hear the truth of this ancient swamp here. Nothing is certain, and every battle is older than you can imagine. The crocodile moves so fast that you nearly fall backward into the mud. 1 second it's a statue, all tense muscle and watchful eyes, and the next it's a blur of scale and tooth. A missile launched straight at the turtle's broad, unmoving back. The water explodes around it, sending a sheet of muddy spray in all directions. You flinch, wiping the swamp's cold kiss from your face just in time to see the beast's massive jaws clamp down with a force that could shatter bone-tier limbs and reduce most creatures to floating scraps. But not this time. The crocodile's teeth slam into the turtle's shell with a dull, echoing crack that reverberates through the still morning air. It's a sound that makes your teeth ache just hearing it. The turtle barely flinches. The force of the attack shoves it forward a little in the mud, but its shell holds firm, the ancient armor doing what millions of years of evolution designed it to do: resist, endure, frustrate. The crocodile's head jerks back instinctively, as if surprised by the lack of give. Its jaws work once, twice, as if trying to figure out where its meal went wrong. Historians still debate whether prehistoric crocodiles like Deinosuchus specialized in hunting armored prey, or whether they preferred softer targets. Some argue that their massive jaws were designed precisely to test the defenses of creatures like this turtle. Others believe they mostly ambushed dinosaurs at riverbanks and ignored tougher meals. Whatever the case, this croc seems determined to add turtle to the menu. You watch as the crocodile releases its grip and lunges again, snapping at the turtle's side this time, hoping perhaps for a glimpse of softer flesh beneath the shell's edge. But the turtle tucks in tighter, its thick, leathery legs pressing against the mud, anchoring it like a boulder lodged in the riverbed. The jaws scrape along the shell, leaving streaks of foam and shattered bits of algae, but no real damage. But here's an offbeat fact for you. While the titans scuffle, the bite of a modern crocodile can exert over 300 to 500 pounds per square inch of force. That's more than enough to crush steel pipes in certain conditions. And yet here, that same crushing force is met with stubborn, unyielding defense. You almost feel sorry for the crocodile. Almost. Frustration flickers across the predator's ancient face. Its eyes narrow and it pulls back, circling now, jaws agape, tail lashing at the water, sending small waves slapping against the roots of the trees. The turtle doesn't move. It simply waits as if it has all the time in the world. And well, maybe it does. Turtles have always played the long game after all. The croc feints left, then snaps right trying to catch the turtle off guard, but the turtle barely reacts. You can almost hear it thinking, is that the best you've got? There's a certain comedy in the scene, like watching someone try to open a can with their teeth at a picnic while the can smugly refuses to budge. You stifle a laugh, though it comes out as a nervous snort that earns you a suspicious glance from a passing dragonfly. The swamp around you seems to lean in as if nature itself is eager to see who will win. The water settles briefly a mirror for the sky's pale morning light. Somewhere hidden in the trees, an unseen creature lets out a long, mournful call, a reminder that in this place drama plays out every day, mostly unnoticed by human eyes. The crocodile lunges one final time, jaws clamping down on the rear edge of the turtle's shell. It shakes its head violently, as if trying to rattle the turtle loose from its own defenses. The motion sends ripples fanning out across the swamp, rattling the reeds and disturbing a cluster of small fish that leap from the water in panic. But still, the turtle remains steadfast, its armor weathering the onslaught as it has for generations beyond counting. You take a careful step back, the mud squelching beneath your boots, not wanting to be part of whatever happens next. It's clear that this battle isn't going to end quickly or cleanly. And while you're not sure which of these ancient beasts will emerge victorious, you're starting to suspect that the turtle's patience might outlast even the crocodile's fury. One last fun fact to mull over: some species of turtle can live well over 150 years. There are records of giant tortoises outliving their human caretakers by several generations. Imagine that the turtle you see today might have watched entire human empires rise and fall, all while chewing its leaves and minding its own business. The crocodile finally releases its grip, pulling back a few feet, jaws dripping with mud and frustration. It eyes the turtle with something like respect, or maybe it's just sizing up a new strategy. You can almost see the gears turning behind those predatory eyes. And you're just trying to figure out how you ended up here standing ankle-deep in muck, watching two prehistoric titans settle a score older than humanity itself. The crocodile pauses, jaws still agape, as if expecting the turtle's shell to crumble any second now. But no such luck. The great predator's teeth, designed by nature to puncture and crush, have met their match in this unyielding dome of bone and keratin. You can almost sense its confusion, like someone trying to bite into a coconut, only to find it's made of stone. The swamp falls silent for a beat, as if even the insects are waiting to see what the crocodile will try next. The turtle remains motionless, or more accurately, it remains deliberate, as it shifts just enough to plant itself more firmly in the mud, its massive limbs disappearing deeper into the muck, anchoring it in place. That shell, mossy, scarred, and as wide across as a small dining table, has absorbed the croc's fury with the indifference of a boulder weathering a storm. The morning light catches along the ridges of the shell, highlighting the deep grooves etched by time, like the turtle carries the map of the swamp itself on its back. Historians still debate whether prehistoric turtles evolved such formidable shells primarily for defense against predators, like this crocodile, or as protection against other threats, perhaps each other, or even environmental hazards like falling trees or rock slides. The fossil record offers clues, but not certainties. What's clear here, though, is that the shell isn't just armor, it's a fortress. And today, the crocodile is learning that lesson the hard way. The croc lets out a low, frustrated growl, a sound more vibration than noise that seems to ripple through the water and stir the mud at your feet. You take an instinctive step back, feeling the cold, squelchy embrace of swamp muck, trying to claim your boots. The crocodile circles, now slower, more cautious. Its golden eyes dart from the turtle's shell to the edges of its limbs, looking for any hint of vulnerability. A dragonfly lands on the turtle's back, its delicate wings humming softly in the heavy air. The turtle doesn't so much as blink. The dragonfly seems to consider this strange, immobile island before lifting off again, zipping away in search of more interesting real estate. Meanwhile, the croc lunges forward once more, jaws snapping, not at the shell this time, but at the turtle's hind leg. But the turtle anticipates it retracting just enough that the predator's teeth close on empty water. Let's slip in a fun oddity here. Did you know that certain species of turtles have been recorded making low-frequency vocalizations underwater? Something humans can't hear unaided. Some researchers suggest these sounds help them communicate in murky environments or coordinate during nesting. So who knows? Maybe this giant turtle has been quietly cursing out the crocodile the entire time, and we're just too unevolved to hear it. The crocodile retreats a pace or two, nostrils flaring, tail flicking the water in irritation. Its earlier confidence has begun to erode under the weight of the turtle's passive defiance. You can almost imagine the internal monologue. I'm the apex predator here. Why isn't this working? The swamp seems to press in closer, as if the trees themselves are leaning over the scene to watch. A soft breeze stirs the hanging moss, carrying with it the rich earthy scent of wet decay. You shift your stance at trying to keep your balance as the mud threatens to claim your boots entirely. A chorus of frogs starts up somewhere nearby, their croaks oddly rhythmic, as if the swamp itself is cheering on the turtle. The crocodile snorts and lunges again, but this time, it hesitates at the last second, snapping its jaws shut, just short of the turtle's carapace. It's thinking now, recalculating. The shell has proven impervious and brute force clearly isn't the answer. Historians still debate whether animals like this crocodile ever learn to adapt their hunting tactics when faced with prey too tough to tackle head-on, or whether failure simply meant moving on to easier meals. Today, it looks like this croc is on the verge of making that choice. But not yet. Not without one last effort. The crocodile settles back onto its haunches, if you can call them that, its body half in the water, half on the muddy bank. It eyes the turtle with renewed caution, no longer the reckless predator, but a more calculating hunter. The turtle unmoved seems to sink even deeper into its protective posture, as if daring the croc to try again. And you're frozen in place, not from fear exactly, but from awe. It's like watching a living fossil face off against another, a slow-motion battle that's played out in various forms for millions of years. The swamp is quiet now, save for the soft lapping of water against the roots and the hum of unseen insects. The crocodile lets out another growl, softer this time, almost resigned, and slowly backs away a step. The turtle doesn't move. It doesn't need to. Its hidden armor has done the talking, and so far it's winning the argument. The crocodile circles now slower, more deliberate. Gone is the rash confidence of its earlier strikes. What remains is pure calculation, the quiet predator mind, weighing options, studying angles, waiting for that one fatal slip. You can almost see the thoughts swimming behind its golden eyes. There has to be a way. The swamp itself seems to settle into this new rhythm, the hush of patient watching. Even the breeze pauses, as if the air doesn't want to disturb this ancient duel. The turtle holds its ground, unmoving but not unaware. Every so often, its dark, steady eyes follow the crocodile's slow orbit, head tilting just enough to keep that armored face aimed at its would-be attacker. There's a weight to the moment now, a strange dignity. This isn't just a fight of muscle and teeth anymore, it's a contest of wills, of endurance. You find yourself holding your breath without realizing it, the swamp's heavy air pressing down on your chest like a warm, wet blanket. Historians still debate whether these ancient giants ever truly recognized each other as rivals in the way we humans like to imagine. Did a crocodile see a turtle as a challenge to its dominion, or just a meal that was more trouble than it was worth? Fossils tell us of scars on shells, bite marks on bones, but they don't record intent. They don't capture the silent conversations between predator and prey. The crocodile halts its slow circling to rest for a heartbeat on the mud bank. jaws slightly parted as it breathes heavily, sides heaving. It's tiring, you realize. The repeated strikes, the fruitless grappling with that impenetrable shell, it's starting to wear the predator down. The turtle, meanwhile, has barely shifted. A small clump of moss slides down its back with a soft plop lost to the muddy water below. Its stillness is almost smug. Here's a strange fact to fill the silence. Some species of turtles can actually survive months without food during hibernation, relying on stored energy and slow metabolisms. That kind of patience is on full display here. You wouldn't be surprised if this turtle could stay right where it is for the rest of the week just to prove a point. The crocodile moves again, slower still. The fire of its initial fury cooled now into a simmering frustration. Its tail flicks the water, lazily stirring up the mud in lazy spirals that stain the shallows like smoke. The predator's eyes dart to the turtle's head, then to its limbs, then back to that maddening, invulnerable dome. The turtle doesn't so much as blink. It might as well be carved from stone. The swamp around you feels like it's waiting too. The frogs have gone quiet. The birds keep to the shadows. Even the insects seem to have reduced their endless hum, as if unwilling to interrupt this strange, slow battle. The only sound is the soft slap of water against the mud and the occasional, impatient huff from the crocodile. You shift your weight, the mud sucking at your boots with wet insistence, and you wonder how long will this last. Could these creatures stay locked in this standoff for hours? Days? The swamp is timeless after all. What's a few hours here, where trees have stood for centuries and the water flows as it always has? The crocodile stops circling at last. It lowers its head slightly, jaws no longer gaping wide but set in a tight, frustrated line. It stares at the turtle as if willing it to give up, to surrender the battle without another strike. The turtle stares back, unimpressed. The moment stretches on long enough that your legs start to ache from standing so still, long enough that you start to feel the weight of the swamp's slow heartbeat in your own chest. Historians still debate whether moments like this, these long silent contests of patience, were common in the ancient world. Was it always tooth against flesh, or did some battles play out like this with more waiting than violence? The fossil record doesn't show hesitation or thought. It shows only the aftermath. But here in this strange, forgotten corner of the world, you're witnessing the middle chapters, the ones history usually forgets. And then, as if on cue, the crocodile lets out a long, low hiss. Not anger now, but something closer to exhaustion. It sinks lower in the water, eyes, barely above the surface, watching, waiting, conserving what strength remains. The turtle, for its part, shifts slightly, as if to remind the croc that its defenses are still intact, still ready, still unbroken. Odd fact for you. While we wait, in some cultures, turtles are symbols of wisdom, precisely because of this ability to endure, to outlast their challenges by simply being immovable. You start to see the logic in that now. The turtle's greatest weapon isn't speed or strength, it's time. And time in the swamp is the most powerful force of all. The crocodile doesn't strike again, not yet. It waits, testing the turtle's resolve now as much as its defenses. The battle has shifted from one of force to one of patience, and you, lucky witness that you are, get to stand in the mud and see it unfold. The swamp seems to lean closer as the fight enters a new phase. Not so much a clash of fangs and armor now, but a strange, silent war in which the very land itself begins to take sides. The crocodile lies half submerged, golden eyes glinting just above the waterline, body motionless, except for the slow, deliberate flick of its tail. The turtle remains planted, unmoved, like a stubborn rock that refuses to acknowledge the tide. And you're standing there, ankle-deep in mud that seems to have ambitions of swallowing you whole. And that's when the swamp decides it's tired of being a spectator. The water level drops slightly, imperceptibly at first, as some hidden underground current shifts. Mud oozes up around the crocodile's flanks, sucking at its legs, pulling it deeper into the muck. The reeds and tangled roots along the bank seem to creep closer, weaving around the crocodile's limbs, as if the swamp itself is trying to restrain the predator. You can't help but smirk a little even. The landscape is rooting for the turtle now. Historians still debate whether prehistoric wetlands like these were as treacherous as they seem in fossil reconstructions. Some say the mud and tangled vegetation were death traps for unwary animals. Others argue that creatures adapted so well to these conditions that only the sick or foolish got caught. Either way, it's clear that today the swamp is no neutral ground. The crocodile tries to shift its weight, but the mud clings to it like wet cement. Its tail lashes once, sending a spray of muddy water that patters against your legs and face like warm rain. You resist the urge to wipe it off because who wants to take their eyes off this scene even for a second? The turtle, meanwhile, takes advantage of the moment. With slow, deliberate steps, it begins to move not toward the crocodile, but sideways, positioning itself so the croc must either retreat or risk sinking deeper into the swamp's grasp. Here's a strange tidbit while we're at it. There are species of plants in wetlands today that can actually walk over generations, spreading their roots slowly across the landscape as they grow and shift. It's almost as if the swamp is alive in ways we don't fully understand, an ever-changing chessboard beneath the feet of its players. The crocodile's frustration builds. It opens its jaws wide, releasing a deep guttural bellow that rolls across the swamp like distant thunder. The sound makes your ribs vibrate, a reminder of just how much power this creature still holds, even mired in mud. Birds take flight from the treetops in a chaotic cloud, their cries sharp and frantic as they vanish into the sky. The turtle, unmoved, continues its slow, steady repositioning, its shell glistening with mud and swamp water, its dark eyes fixed on the predator as if daring it to try again. The crocodile lunges half-heartedly, really. The mud tugs at its limbs, reeds wrap around its legs, and the lunge turns into more of a messy splash that sends ripples fanning out across the water. The turtle shifts again, using the moment to ease itself closer to a patch of firmer ground, each step deliberate, measured. It's not fleeing. It's not even really attacking. It's simply playing the long game, letting the swamp do what the swamp does best: slow, smother, and tangle. Historians still debate whether ancient predators ever fell victim to the very landscapes they ruled. Some fossil finds suggest giant crocs, and other creatures may have perished in bogs and mud pits, their massive skeletons later discovered in layers of silt and clay. Was it bad luck, a misstep? Or did the prey like this turtle know how to use the land to its advantage? You feel the mud creeping higher around your own boots now, a reminder that the swamp doesn't play favorites. The insects return, emboldened by the stillness buzzing around your face with maddening persistence. A mosquito lands on your nose, and you swipe it away, smearing mud across your cheek in the process. You must look a sight. But then who's watching besides these two ancient warriors? The crocodile stops struggling for a moment, sides heaving, eyes glaring at the turtle as if accusing it of cheating somehow. The turtle blinks once slowly, and you swear it looks smug. The swamp hums with quiet energy, the reeds swaying gently as the breeze picks up again, rustling the trees like applause. And through it all, the battle continues, not with bites and strikes, but with patience, positioning, and the quiet, relentless pressure of the swamp itself. You can feel it in your bones now. This fight won't be won with strength alone. The swamp has chosen sides. The crocodile lies half-trapped, now pinned not by the turtle's jaws or claws, but by the swamp itself. You watch as its golden eyes flick back and forth, searching for an exit, a new angle, a weakness in the turtle's defense. But the turtle, the turtle is playing its part like a master. It moves with the kind of slow precision that would drive most creatures mad. Each deliberate step presses its massive weight deeper into the mud, not just to escape, but to reshape the battlefield itself. The turtle edges closer, but not directly toward the crocodile's snout, where those teeth still gleam with menace. No, it angles to the side, shifting its bulk so that its shell creates a barrier between the predator and deeper water. It's boxing the crocodile and using the land's contours like a chess player uses the edges of the board. You can't help but admire the strategy. It's as if the turtle understands that it doesn't have to defeat the crocodile head-on. All it has to do is outlast, outmaneuver, and let the swamp do the dirty work. Historians still debate whether turtles of this size were truly capable of conscious tactics, or whether their actions were simply instinct honed over countless generations. Some argue that creatures like stupendemes moved with intention, learning from experience, while others see their slow movements as purely reactive. Standing here watching this ancient dance unfold, you can't help but lean toward the idea of strategy. The turtle isn't just surviving, it's winning. The crocodile thrashes, trying to free its limbs from the sucking mud and the grasping reeds, but every movement seems to make things worse. The mud clings tighter, the reeds pull harder. Its great tail lashes the water, sending up waves that slap against your legs, soaking you to the knees. And still the turtle presses forward, not fast, not aggressive, but steady, unstoppable, like a tide that no force can resist. Odd fact to chew on while you watch this slow-motion battle: snapping turtles in modern times have been known to use their environment to ambush prey hiding in vegetation and striking when fish swim too close. Maybe this giant ancestor is simply scaling up that same technique, turning the entire swamp into its weapon. The crocodile lunges again, snapping at the turtle's side in a desperate, clumsy strike. But the angle is wrong, the mud too deep, the reeds too tangled. Its jaws close on nothing but water and air, the effort costing it precious energy. The turtle shifts once more, positioning itself so the crocodile's path to deeper water is blocked. The predator would have to either charge through the armored wall of shell or retreat in shame. You can almost hear the swamp chuckling now, the way the breeze sighs through the trees, the water gurgling softly as it seeps around the combatants. The crocodile growls, a low rumble of frustration that makes your ribs vibrate. Its eyes glare at the turtle, as if trying to will it into backing down. But the turtle merely settles its weight a little deeper, anchoring itself, making it clear that this patch of swamp now belongs to it. Historians still debate whether such battles shaped the territories of ancient reptiles. Some believe these duels over mudbanks and river bends determined which species thrived and which faded into history. Others suggest that luck and the shifting environment played a bigger role. But watching this moment, it feels like power, patience, and a good understanding of mud count for a lot. The crocodile makes one final effort, surging forward with all its remaining strength. Jaws, wide tail, thrashing muscles, straining against the swamp's grip. But the turtle is ready. It leans into the lunge, shifting its shell so that the predator's snout slams not into vulnerable flesh, but into that impenetrable dome once again. The impact sends a dull thud through the air like a drumbeat, followed by a splash as the crocodile stumbles back exhausted. And you're left standing in the thick of it, watching two ancient forces test each other, not with speed or agility, but with sheer determination. The turtle has turned defense into offense, the swamp into its ally, and the crocodile into a frustrated, mud-soaked shadow of its former confidence. A mosquito buzzes by your ear again, and you swipe it away, feeling the grit of mud dry on your cheek. The swamp hums with quiet approval. The battle is far from over, but for now the turtle holds the upper hand, or shell as it were, and the crocodile is running out of options. The crocodile sinks lower into the muck, now chest heaving with the effort of its failed strikes. Golden eyes burning with a mix of fury and disbelief. You can almost see the thoughts flashing through its ancient mind. How did it come to this? This wasn't supposed to be a battle. It was supposed to be a meal. But now the predator finds itself outmatched not by speed or strength, but by sheer maddening endurance. The turtle, for its part, remains infuriatingly calm, its dark eyes rimmed in ancient wisdom, or at least that's how you choose to see it meet the crocodile's gaze and hold it. There's no gloating, no show of dominance, just the unshakable presence of something that knows time is on its side. Slowly, it shifts its massive bulk once more, sliding sideways to block what little path remains between the crocodile and open water. The move is subtle but decisive. The crocodile's options shrink with every inch. Historians still debate whether these prehistoric crocodiles like Purosaurus or Deinosuchus were prone to reckless attacks when frustrated. Some suggest they were cautious, preferring ambush over prolonged conflict. Others believe desperation sometimes drove them to foolish, costly mistakes. Today, it seems we're witnessing the latter unfold in real time. The crocodile thrashes again, one more great, angry burst of energy. Its tail sends up a curtain of mud and water that splashes against your legs and soaks your clothes. You grimace, wiping the grit from your face, but you don't look away. You can't. The swamp has become a stage, and this grim, slow-motion play is too captivating to miss. Odd fact for you. As you stand there watching history play out, crocodiles even today are capable of bursts of astonishing speed on land, up to 20 miles per hour over short distances. But here, in the grip of the swamp's hungry mud, that speed counts for nothing. The predator's power is wasted, every violent lunge only tightening the mire's grip. The turtle adjusts again, stepping forward in that ponderous, deliberate way that's starting to feel like a taunt. You can almost hear it. Keep trying if you like. The crocodile's jaws snap at the air in frustration, splashing water and bits of broken reed. Its teeth gleam briefly in the dull morning light, but there's no real threat behind them anymore, just exhaustion and rage. You see it in the way its shoulders sag and the heaviness of its movements. The crocodile is losing not just the battle, but its composure. The swamp seems to sense it too. The reeds sway gently in the breeze, the water ripples quietly around the combatants, and the mud bubbles softly, as if chuckling at the spectacle. Even the birds have returned to their perches, watching from above with beady, curious eyes. The predator that once ruled these waters is being undone not by tooth or claw, but by its own fury and the turtle's stubborn patience. Historians still debate whether such encounters left permanent scars on these creatures, physical or otherwise. Did a crocodile that failed like this remember the lesson? Did it avoid turtles from then on, or was it doomed to repeat its mistake? Fossils can tell us where the teeth met bone, but they can't tell us what happened in the hearts of these ancient beasts. The crocodile tries once more a half-hearted lunge that ends with its jaws scraping uselessly along the turtle's shell. The sound is dull and sad, like a stone dragged across rock. The turtle doesn't even flinch this time. It simply plants itself more firmly, legs braced against the mud, head tilted slightly as if to say, "Are we done here?" And maybe, just maybe, the crocodile realizes it. Its eyes, so fierce and unyielding before, flick away from the turtle, scanning the swamp for a way out. But the path is gone, blocked by mud reeds and the unmovable form of the turtle itself. The predator's breathing slows, its tail falls still, and the swamp claims it a little more with each passing second. A mosquito lands on your wrist, and you let it be this time. You're too caught up in the quiet fall of a king, the slow defeat that comes not with a roar but with a sigh. The crocodile's frustration has burned itself out, leaving behind only weariness and regret. And the turtle. The turtle stands victorious not through violence, but through the simple, unstoppable force of time and patience. The swamp seems to swallow them whole as they slip beneath the surface, the crocodile and the turtle vanishing in a swirl of mud and shadow. One moment you're watching the slow, tense standoff above the waterline, and the next, nothing. Just ripples, lazy and widening, as if the swamp itself is trying to smooth over the drama you just witnessed. You take a careful step forward, straining your eyes to pierce the murky depths, but all you see is your reflection distorted by the water's subtle movement. For a heartbeat or maybe two, you wonder if they've both decided to end it here, deep beneath the water's surface out of your view. The swamp, after all, is no stage for spectators. It keeps its secrets. Down there in the cool black water, it's a different world where sight counts for little and sound and pressure rule. You imagine the crocodile still furious, still desperate, and the turtle calm as ever, letting the swamp cloak its defense. Historians still debate whether ancient crocodiles preferred the ambush kill below the water, or whether these protracted duels sometimes took place entirely submerged. Some point to fossils of turtles with bite marks on the underside of their shells as evidence that such underwater battles weren't uncommon. Others argue those were isolated incidents, unlucky turtles caught by surprise. But standing here watching those ripples fade, it's easy to believe that whole wars were waged in the swamp's depths, unseen by any but the reeds and the fish. A dragonfly buzzes past your face, its iridescent wings catching the weak sunlight, and you don't even flinch. Your focus is locked on the water, heart pounding with anticipation. Where are they? The thought slips into your mind, unbidden but insistent. What's happening down there? The surface breaks suddenly, a violent splash that startles a cry from your throat and sends a wave of swamp water slapping against your shins. The crocodile surges upward, jaws wide, eyes blazing with raw determination. But what it hauls from the depths is not a limp prize, not a meal won at last, but the same infuriating dome of shell that has thwarted it at every turn. The turtle rises with it, its sheer weight dragging the predator upward as if challenging it to one last fruitless display of strength. Here's a strange fact to lighten the mood. Some modern turtles can hold their breath for hours underwater, slowing their heart rate to near standstill in a process called brumation. Imagine that, so patient, so still, that time itself seems to forget about them. And watching this turtle now, you wouldn't be surprised if it could outlast the crocodile, not just today, but for days to come if it needed to. The crocodile's jaws clamp down once more on the turtle's shell, but the grip is weaker now, the strength fading from its muscles with every wasted effort. It shakes its head, sending plumes of muddy water into the air, but the turtle's shell holds as it always has, unyielding, ancient, untouchable. The crocodile's tail thrashes in frustration, stirring the swamp into a frothy mess around them. But it's clear now this battle is ending not with victory, but with exhaustion. Historians still debate whether these underwater struggles left lasting scars on the combatants, or if the swamp erased all evidence of the clash within days, covering the marks with silt and moss. The fossil record hints at stories like this, but can never capture the full picture. You, on the other hand, are witnessing it in all its slow, muddy glory. The crocodile releases its grip at last, pulling back with a final resigned snort, sinking once more beneath the surface. The turtle lingers, head just above the waterline, as if to make sure the predator is truly retreating, then sinks as well, disappearing into the swamp's embrace. The water calms the ripples, spreading and softening until the surface is as smooth as glass once more. And you stand there, heart still racing, feeling as if you've seen something both monumental and intimate. A struggle as old as the swamp itself, played out in silence and shadow beneath the water's surface. The swamp breathes again, as if relieved to have reclaimed its quiet. The water settles into lazy ripples, reeds swaying gently in the breeze, and birds return to their perches, watching with beady eyes that seem to say, "Well, that was something, wasn't it?" You exhale slowly, realizing you'd been holding your breath without meaning to. There's a stillness now that feels different, heavier somehow. Not just the quiet after a fight, but the weight of history pressing in, whispering that this wasn't the first time such a duel had played out here. And that's when it hits you. This battle between crocodile and turtle isn't a one-off drama. It's part of something much bigger. An echo of an ancient rivalry that's been unfolding in swamps like this for millions of years. You glance at the water, half expecting to see ghostly shapes of long-dead ancestors, lurking beneath the surface, reenacting their eternal struggle. Deinosuchus versus Stupendimes predator against fortress muscle, against armor scenes that played out long before any human ever set foot in these wetlands. Historians still debate whether these rivalries shaped the evolution of these creatures, or were merely incidental, the product of overlapping habitats and shared hunting grounds. Some argue that turtles grew larger, their shells thicker because of constant pressure from predators like crocodiles. Others believe the crocodiles honed their powerful jaws precisely to breach those defenses. Fossils bear the scars of these clashes, but no one can say for sure who shaped whom. The breeze stirs the swamp's surface, blurring your reflection in the water. You take a careful step back, boots squelching in the mud, and feel a strange connection to this ancient contest. It's easy to forget in the modern world of concrete and glass that long before we came along, battles of patience and power played out in places just like this, silent wars that left no monument, no written histories, just marks on bone and stories in the mud. A dragonfly lands on your sleeve, its wings shimmering like stained glass, oblivious to the weight of the moment. You resist the urge to shoo it away. Somehow, it feels fitting, a tiny witness to the long, slow rhythms of this place. Odd fact for you, in some cultures, dragonflies are seen as the spirits of warriors or reminders of the transience of struggle. Today, you're inclined to believe it. The swamp hums quietly around you, alive with the subtle sounds that had faded during the fight, frogs calling from hidden perches, insects buzzing in lazy loops, the soft gurgle of water moving through hidden channels beneath the mud. The crocodile's form is gone now, vanished beneath the surface, leaving only a faint trail of bubbles to mark its retreat. The turtle, too, has disappeared into the swamp's shadows, its victory unannounced. Its presence felt only in the stillness it leaves behind. Historians still debate whether these creatures held grudges, remembered rivals, or simply moved on to the next meal, the next patch of sun-warmed mud. The truth is lost to time, buried beneath layers of silt and bone. But standing here, you can't help but wonder, how many times has this story played out? How many battles have been fought in these waters, witnessed only by the trees and the wind? You wipe the sweat from your brow, smearing a streak of mud across your face, and smile despite yourself. The swamp always wins in the end. It keeps its secrets, swallows its warriors, and lets the echoes of their struggles linger just out of reach. And you, for today at least, have been lucky enough to glimpse a chapter of that endless, muddy saga. The swamp's silence feels thicker now, as if it too is processing what just happened. You stand there, boots sinking deeper with each breath, eyes fixed on the water's surface where both giants vanished. The air is heavy, damp, filled with the scent of wet earth, decaying leaves, and a hint of something older, something ancient that lingers long after the players have left the stage. But just when you think the battle's over, when you think the crocodile has slunk away to nurse its wounded pride, the water stirs again. A slow, deliberate ripple breaks the surface, followed by the faintest glint of shell beneath the murk. The turtle resurfaces, not in retreat but advancing, pushing its massive form toward a fallen log that lies half submerged, its surface slick with moss and age. The crocodile, you realize, is still there, hidden beneath the water. Eyes just visible, watching, waiting. But it's trapped now, pinned between the turtle's bulk and the log. The battlefield has shifted again. Historians still debate whether such moments were planned, whether creatures like this turtle understood the terrain well enough to use it as a tool, or whether chance placed the crocodile in this awkward, vulnerable position. Some argue that turtles navigated their swampy homes with the skill of seasoned warriors. Others believe it was instinct, not strategy, that guided them. Watching this, though, you can't help but see a kind of intention in the turtle's slow, deliberate movements. The turtle presses closer, not fast, not aggressive, but inevitable. Its sheer weight shifts the mud beneath it, sending small ripples through the water, forcing the crocodile tighter against the log. The predator thrashes once, twice, but the swamp resists its muddy grip, pulling at limbs reeds, tangling around powerful legs. The crocodile's strength is legendary, but here strength counts for little. The log blocks its path, the mud binds its body, and the turtle looms like the slow march of time itself. Here's a strange fact to ponder while you watch. In some cultures, turtles are seen as the embodiment of the earth, solid, enduring, unmovable. And in this moment, that symbolism feels startlingly accurate. The turtle isn't just a creature of the swamp. It is the swamp of force, as patient and inevitable as the rise of the sun. The crocodile lunges in desperation, jaws snapping at the turtle's side, but the angle is wrong. Its teeth glance off the shell's edge, scraping harmlessly along the ridges. You hear the dull clack of tooth on bone, a sound that seems to echo across the swamp like a drumbeat of defeat. The predator's great tail lashes, stirring the water into froth, but it only digs itself deeper into the mud's hungry grip. Historians still debate whether such defeats had lasting impacts on predators like this. Did a crocodile that failed so thoroughly in one encounter avoid similar prey in the future, or did instinct drive it to try again, doomed to repeat the same mistakes? The fossils tell us of battles of tooth marks and shattered shells, but not of lessons learned or pride wounded. The turtle pauses now, head lifted just above the water eyes, fixed on its struggling foe. There's no malice there, no triumph, just that same steady, unreadable gaze that seems to say, this is the way of things. Slowly, deliberately, the turtle lowers its head again and presses forward once more, its bulk pinning the crocodile tighter against the log, cutting off its last avenue of escape. You can feel the tension in your own body, your muscles aching from standing so still, your breath caught in your throat as you watch the final moments of the duel unfold. The crocodile thrashes one last time, a desperate, furious effort to break free, but the swamp holds it fast and the turtle holds the line. The predator's strength ebbs its movement, slowing the fire in its golden eyes, dimming as the weight of the swamp and its ancient foe finally overwhelms it. A mosquito lands on your arm and you let it be too caught up in the scene to care. The swamp hums softly around you, the breeze stirring the reeds, the water settling into a gentle rhythm that feels like a heartbeat, slowing after a long, hard race. The crocodile falls still, its sides heaving, head resting against the log as if accepting at last that this battle is lost. And the turtle. The turtle remains a silent sentinel of the swamp's quiet victory, its shell glistening with mud and water, its dark eyes reflecting the calm that follows the storm. The swamp exhales as the crocodile begins its slow, grudging retreat. There's no dramatic splash, no violent thrashing, just a quiet, almost sorrowful withdrawal as the predator slips backward deeper into the murk. You watch the golden eyes fade beneath the waterline, swallowed by shadow and silt, leaving behind nothing but a faint trail of bubbles that pop gently on the surface. The swamp claims its defeated king, wrapping it in silence and mud, as if trying to soothe the sting of failure. The turtle stands its ground, unmoving, except for the slow blink of its ancient eyes. It doesn't pursue, doesn't gloat. It simply waits as it has through the entire encounter, patient. Unshakable, a creature carved from the bones of the earth itself. There's a stillness in the air now that feels almost sacred, as if the swamp recognizes the conclusion of something timeless. The predator has conceded and the swamp's rhythm can resume. Historians still debate whether such retreats were common in prehistoric duels. Some argue that apex predators rarely backed down, fighting to the death rather than yield. Others suggest that even the mightiest creatures knew when they'd met their match, valuing survival over pride. Watching the crocodile vanish into the dark water, you can't help but think today, wisdom won out. The water settles again, smooth and glassy, reflecting the sky's pale morning light. You see yourself there, mud-streaked, wide-eyed, standing as witness to a drama that has played out for millions of years in countless swamps, unseen by human eyes. The breeze stirs the reeds, the frogs begin their chorus anew, and the insects return to their endless dance. The swamp breathes alive with the quiet sounds of life resuming. Odd fact for you, crocodiles have been found with scars from battles that clearly healed, suggesting they survived even brutal encounters. Perhaps this one too will carry the memory of today's defeat, etched into its scales, a reminder of the day the swamp itself turned against it. The turtle shifts at last, slow and ponderous, its massive form stirring the mud as it begins to move toward deeper water. There's no rush, no urgency. The battle is done, and time is once again its ally. Each step seems to press the swamp's story deeper into the earth, a reminder that in this place the patient endure, and the rash fall short. Historians still debate whether the swamp itself influenced these creatures' behaviors, whether the treacherous mud and tangled roots taught them caution, or whether they came to these places because they already possessed it. The fossils show us where they fell, where they fought, where they lived, but not always why they chose to do what they did. You take a deep breath, the rich scent of the swamp filling your lungs. The tension that had gripped you during the battle begins to ebb, replaced by a strange, quiet awe. You've seen something rare today, not just a fight, but a lesson in endurance and patience, and the quiet power of knowing when to stand firm and when to let go. The crocodile is gone now, lost to the swamp's shadows. The turtle moves on slow and steady, a living monument to the battle just won. And you're left standing in the mud. A little wetter, a little filthier, but far richer for having witnessed it all. The swamp reclaims its peace as the turtle glides toward the heart of its watery domain, leaving behind nothing but faint ripples that fade into stillness. You watch as the giant creature pauses at a sun-dappled clearing in the reeds, where the water is a little deeper, a little clearer. The turtle settles there, half submerged, its great shell rising from the water like an island crowned with moss and age. And then it begins what you can only describe as a ritual, a slow, deliberate, and a series of movements that seem too measured, too precise to be random. The turtle lifts its head high, holding it there for what feels like an eternity, as if acknowledging the swamp, the battle, or perhaps the unseen watchers among the trees. It shifts its weight gently from side to side, the water sloshing around it in soft waves that fan outward, like the rings of time itself. You can't help but feel as if you're witnessing something ancient and meaningful. A silent gesture passed down through generations of survivors, a victory dance that isn't for show but for memory. Historians still debate whether such post-battle behaviors in prehistoric animals had ritual significance or were simply the natural motions of creatures settling after exertion. Some argue that behaviors we see as ceremonial might have had practical purposes, shaking off parasites, adjusting weight, or cooling overheated bodies. But standing here ankle-deep in mud, watching this enormous turtle move with such slow grace, you can't shake the feeling that there's more to it. This is not just recovery. This is a claim. The turtle is saying in its quiet, deliberate way, "This place is mine now." The breeze picks up, ruffling the reeds and carrying with it the earthy scent of the swamp's endless cycle of growth and decay. A dragonfly skims the water's surface, its wings catching the light like shards of glass. Somewhere in the distance, a bird calls a long, lonely note that seems to hang in the air, as if honoring the turtle's triumph. Here's an odd fact for you. In some cultures, turtles are thought to be the bearers of the world itself, their shells symbolic of the heavens and the earth combined. It feels fitting now, watching this ancient reptile resting like the center of the swamp's universe, its shell reflecting the sky, its bulk rooted in the mud below. The turtle remains still for a long moment, as if absorbing the swamp's hum, the gentle lapping of water against its shell, the warmth of the morning sun. Then, with slow, purposeful movements, it submerges itself, completely vanishing beneath the water's surface. No splash, no fanfare, just the quiet, steady disappearance of a creature that has earned its peace. Historians still debate whether moments like this mattered to the creatures who lived them, or if we humans simply project our need for meaning onto the natural world. But here, in this swamp, in this moment, meaning feels undeniable. You've seen a duel older than history, and now you're watching the victor fade into legend. The water smooths over the turtle's passing, erasing all but memory. The swamp sighs content once more, the echoes of the struggle fading into the endless song of insects, birds, and breeze. You're left standing in the stillness, heart full of wonder. The image of that slow, deliberate victory burned into your mind. The swamp has fallen into that peculiar kind of quiet that only follows great events. The sort of hush that feels both peaceful and profound, as if the world itself is pausing to reflect. You stand there, boots heavy with mud clothes, damp with swamp water, and listen to the soft sounds of life resuming, the lazy buzz of dragonflies, the distant splash of a fish breaking the surface, the gentle rustle of reeds stirred by the breeze. The duel is over, but its memory lingers in the air, in the water, in your bones. You glance out over the murky expanse where predator and defender clashed, and all that remains are faint ripples and scattered bits of floating moss. No scars on the land, no monuments to mark the site of the battle, just the swamp unchanged and eternal as it has always been. The crocodile is gone, vanished into the shadows, no doubt nursing its bruised pride somewhere deep in the water's labyrinth. The turtle, too, has disappeared beneath the surface, leaving only mystery in its wake. Historians still debate how moments like this shaped the balance of ancient ecosystems. Did a single victory like the one you witnessed ripple outward, changing the fate of species? Or was it just another quiet note in the endless symphony of life and death? Fossils give us pieces of the story. Marks on shells, gouges on bone. But they can't capture the hush of the swamp after the struggle ends, or the way the air tastes heavy with meaning. A dragonfly lands on your mud-smeared sleeve and stays there as if it too is reflecting on what it just saw. You don't shoo it away. Instead, you let it rest, watching as its delicate wings shimmer in the morning light. Odd fact: dragonflies can see nearly 360 degrees around them, their eyes composed of thousands of tiny lenses. Right now, it feels like this one sees you as part of the landscape. Another creature humbled by the swamp's quiet wisdom. The breeze carries the scent of water and earth, cool and familiar, and you let it wash over you. The swamp feels different now, wiser somehow, as if it has shared a secret and trusts you to keep it. You take one last look at the water's surface, half expecting the turtle to rise once more, or the crocodile to re-emerge for a second round. But the swamp keeps its secrets. The battle is over and the story is done. You turn, boots squelching softly in the mud, and begin your slow walk back through the reeds, leaving the quiet heart of the swamp behind. The lesson lingers with you sometimes. Victory belongs not to the swift or the strong, but to the patient, the steady, the unshakable. And in the end, it's the swamp itself that endures, outlasting predator and prey alike. The swamp fades behind you, its quiet song still humming softly in your ears. And so ends our journey tonight. You've witnessed a battle older than memory, a slow duel between strength and patience, predator and fortress. The swamp has reclaimed its stillness, and the echoes of that ancient struggle will linger long after we've gone. Take a moment as you settle into your night to remember the lesson of the turtle and the crocodile, the power of quiet endurance, the strength in stillness, the wisdom of knowing when to stand your ground and when to let the world move around you. Thank you for staying with me through this tale. If you found yourself lost in the swamp's spell, if the quiet of its waters soothed you, if the battle stirred your imaginations, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Leave me a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is. And now let the swamp's peace carry you into rest. The night is long and the world is wide. Sleep well.